Hey. Right. Yeah, special teams has always been my niche. That's what's kind of kept me employed over the years. So I always had a great interest in it and enjoyed it. I love coaching offense. I love working with. I'd work the running backs here and the tight ends, and enjoyed working with those guys. I think this is where it's going. I think with all the changes in college football, particularly with the staffing, you're going to see more of the NFL model and having a special teams coordinator devoted strictly to the kicking game, and so it's exciting. That's an exciting portion of it is really getting to evaluate. The part that I've loved really this offseason is being able to evaluate the defensive guys more so than I have in the past. I really just see those guys whenever we would interact in the kicking game, and that would be about the only time unless we did something pre or post practice. So I think that's going to be a big benefit. And just having more guys to help, more staff guys available. So I think that'll be great as well.
Stu, I want to ask you, heading into the spring, you have some comfort with John, Kyle, and Christian
Right.
back. How much does that help get hitting the ground running with those guys' experience at those positions?
Yeah, I think it's always great to have experience. You want guys that if the moment's not too big for them. So having guys that have done it in the game will certainly bolsters confidence amongst the team. And then you're looking at Nick Velsistis, having a chance to punt now. He's waited a long time to do so, and so now he gets an opportunity to do that. And I think that probably gives him comfort having guys around him that can certainly help him prepare for the moment.
Yeah, with Nick, he seemed to be Peter's understudy for the last couple of years. How much did it help being around a guy like that, Peter Moore, who probably one of the best punters in terms of average at Virginia Tech history?
Yeah, I think Pete. I think he ended up being second in Virginia Tech history and had a great career. I think Pete would tell you that Nick helped him a ton. Nick, there was always competition. Nick pushed him to the limit. Every time that we went into a camp, into a spring practice, into a fall camp. So I think that Pete certainly helped Nick in his preparation and for this moment, but I think Nick helped Pete a lot as well. It's always healthy to have competition.
Coach probably mentioned Tucker is going to be limited here at the start of spring.
Mm-hmm.
At the punt return position, with Jay Lane now gone, who do you see possibly stepping up into that role until Tucker's ready?
We're going to work to Kai Heath, who's always caught balls for us, caught punts for us in the past. Jamari DeLoach is a guy coming in as a freshman that's done it in his high school career. We'll also look at Aiden Green, who's has worked back there. And we got Donovan Green back there catching a few balls. So we've got several guys that we're going to take a look at. We're excited to get Tucker back, a guy that's set records here and done a great job, being one of the top guys in the country. We've been very blessed the last 3 years of the guys we've had back there catching the ball. So we're glad to have Tuck back. However, we've got some good options. Mm-hmm. I think when we first got here, he was a young guy trying to figure it out. A little bit immature in his preparation, maybe not quite understanding the day-to-day that's needed to do it at this level, and really decided, he just took it upon himself and decided that he was going to reach his potential. And I've been very impressed with how he's gone about his business the last couple of years. I just the growth in him, and a lot of it has been mentally, but you also see quite a bit physically as well. He hits the ball really well. He's worked very hard on his mechanics, spent a lot of time with us and then also away from us working to improve there. So I think he just decided that he was going to he was not going to look back with any regrets, I believe is really the best way to put it. And so and I'm glad he stuck around. I mean, there was certainly opportunity for him to leave. He could have. It's so easy to walk out the door now, and particularly if you play a position where you only play one guy at a time. You know, I fully expected him last offseason. I thought, man, he's going to walk in here and decide that he wants to go somewhere else, and you really couldn't fight him for, on that. But he decided to stay here and stick it out, and so we're glad to have him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty common for all the specialists. There's so many of them out there, and there are a ton of talented guys. For me, over the years, you're looking, obviously, talent is a given. You're trying to find a talented guy, but what sets apart most guys is how they go about their mental approach. And if you feel like they're going to be calm in the moment, you feel like they're going to go about it on a consistent basis, like I mentioned with Nick, you're trying to find the best guy that can fit there. And then oftentimes you're also finding a guy that's willing to do it for free. With this new model that's coming up with the rev share, and now we've got NIL. I mean, that has changed that landscape. But like a lot of things, the specialists are usually the last guys to get recruited. I think the way rev share and NIL is going to impact that position is still yet to be seen. I believe there'll still be guys out there that are doing it for little money, and so that model, we'll see where that all goes. But that process, to answer your question, there's a lot of guys out there, and so for us as coaches, we pore over it to try to make sure that we're bringing in the right guys, because it's a limited number on the depth chart, right, and on the roster. So there's a lot that goes into it, but the talent piece is pretty easy to pick out. It's the mental aspect that really puts guys over the hump. Right. Yeah. It's a big portion of our spring, because our issue at kickoff return really didn't have anything to do with the guy carrying the ball. It was more so we had some costly penalties. In particular, if you look back, we had an opportunity against Clemson. I can't remember the circumstances why they were backed up, but we knew we were going to get a big opportunity for a return, and we ended up getting a couple holding calls that negated a return. And the opening kickoff against Duke, we took across the 50 almost. I think we were down around the 40, 35, 30-yard line, somewhere in there, also negated by a holding call. We've got to get better technique-wise, and that's something that we can emphasize and we will emphasize this spring. Last season, if you look at the statistics of, and that's what special teams is all stats, right? The four core, field goal percentage, extra point percentage. If you add it all up, we were tops in the league. I think we were right 4.66 is our average position, out of the 17 teams. But kickoff return was our worst. And, you take out, if we could negate those penalties, we certainly would help our offense and where they're starting that drive. I mean, that's obvious. But then also statistically, we would have been much better. And so that's an area we spoke about this morning in the special teams meeting about, that's a big emphasis in the spring is we've got to eliminate those costly penalties when they show up.
You've always liked having a running back at kick return, but
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the running back room is going to be a little limited this spring. Who do you see back there as kick returners? Is it going to be Thomas Williams, who used a lot last year,
Mm-hmm.
going with a few different faces?
Yeah, Thomas will get the first shot at it. I thought he did a nice job for us for the most part. Tough guy. Has a background as a running back, even though he's playing corner here. Cam Selden is a guy that we brought in as a transfer, and he'll get an opportunity back there. And then we've got, several other guys. You mentioned there's some other running backs. Jeremiah Coney's been back there some. Tyler Mason will get an opportunity. There's also some other skilled players that will be in the mix. We do a bunch of drills in the spring, a bunch of competitive drills where we get to look at a ton of guys, and that's really has a lot to do with how we landed on Thomas, because he did really well in the drills in the spring the previous year. That's it? Yep. Thanks, guys.